everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton, and joined by Locky.
Hello, everyone.
And, we're back. So, just going to have a bit of a chat today about some stuff we've been working on. And
yeah, this one's a bit of a ramble one, right?
Yeah, so a bit of a ramble and talking a bit of smack.
Yeah,
and if you want to talk any of that smack with us, you can jump onto our Discord. We've got some good stuff happening in there. Plenty of chat, plenty of models being worked on, hobby streams every week, and you can interact with us and do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of hobby streams as well, if you're, I'm going to edit that little bit out because we're not doing that for Patreon yet.
Nope.
And if you want to support us even more, then you can jump onto our Patreon. We've got early episodes and an exclusive one up for you right now, an extra bat wrap.
Yeah.
So jump on there and check that out. And make sure to check out Dice Arcade for your hobby needs. So, Locky.
Yes.
What have you been working on?
I've been working on nothing.
Nice.
Because
it's good stuff.
And there is a good reason. And the reason is because we're out of lockdown, bro.
We are. We're free. Freedom.
So yeah, obviously, you forgot the YouTube plug. I mean, I know everyone's probably listening to this on YouTube, and if you're not if you're listening to it on Spotify or someone else, go to our YouTube because we've got bat wraps up, and we're back.
Big news, everyone.
We're back to normal.
We've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, it's been tough with a light of the tunnel has been visible and now we're reaching it, but with that comes everything else, i.e. normal day jobs and everything else going back to normal. So
yeah,
it's been hectic.
That it has been. Yeah, we've been run off my feet as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I've been having to squish in the last little bits of GK and other bits and pieces, and then at time of recording, Octarius is just about to come out, so I've already got my ridiculous amount of backlog Tyranids to paint.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Carnifexes are still going to be any good, so they're not going to get painted. But Trigons and Tyranid Primes and Maliceptors and more Hive Guard and all sorts of stuff. Very exciting.
Very cool.
What about you?
Yeah, I've been coming out of lockdown. We've got means we're back doing bat reps, which means we've got more minis to prep.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've been smashing out some Grey Knights. I've got a couple of Dread Knights and a bunch of Interceptors on the table, all looking nice and shiny and silver. As well as working on some more Necrons. Got a different list to go up against your Tyranids in a couple of weeks, or probably a couple of weeks ago by the time this podcast comes in.
Probably. Who knows? Time travel, it's weird.
Yeah. But we're working on those. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's great because that bat rep's actually going to showcase Octarius. So
yeah,
I'm going to have a whole lot of crazy cool rules to show off. So that's going to be cool.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to kill most of your nids first then.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Hey, I reckon it can do it.
I don't know.
Last time.
Oh, look, to be honest, it's really hard for me to tell. Like, I already know that I need to paint a whole lot of warriors. I was going to do it anyway. Running 9 warriors with ignoring AP 1 and 2 is really good. But now you can, because of the whole synapse rules and all sorts of other crazy buffs you can do. It's just... Yeah, look, there's a whole episode we're going to do on that. We're going to full deep dive.
By this time, we will have already done it.
Actually, yeah. That app's already out.
If you're interested in this Octarius stuff, go back and listen to the Octarius episode from a few weeks ago. It's up there.
Again, time travel, right? It's super strange.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today? What's the general gist of today, Dalton?
I mean, the general gist is chatting about conversions and things. I've been working on the Grey Knights, as I mentioned, which means that I've been doing up a Grandmaster, which isn't particularly converted. We've done a few simple bits of reposing and a head swap. But it sparked some interest in me, and I wanted to talk conversions. So you recently did up a Terminator Sorcerer Lord for your Death Guard.
Yeah.
Which is a kick-ass model.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, firstly, conversions are. I think conversions are one of the things that really cemented the hobby for me.
Mm,
Um, you know,
definitely, yeah.
in general, I don't like having something that somebody else has. Like even like clothes or something. If there's something that I know that will be, used elsewhere or someone else has, I'm like, I don't want it now. I want
Yeah.
the things to be super unique. And
Yeah.
you know, that's obviously with that regarding models, you get a lot more time and effort
Mm,
involved. But I'm telling you, man, the satisfaction of converting something because there's a whole set of skills with converting, and not just kit bashing, but using green stuff or delving into different kind of like scenic things, like converted bases. I reckon doing bases like especially on like 100 mil or night bases and like essentially you create like a diorama, right?
yeah.
That stuff is
Yeah.
super fun. I find that so therapeutic. Probably when I no longer have the faculties to play this game, I reckon I'm 100% going to get into like train dioramas and shit, or even like war dioramas, like World War stuff.
Just building the dioramas. There's no games anymore. You're just doing all the scenery and
Yeah,
stuff.
well, I mean, look, I like showcase pieces as well. Like I've
Yeah.
recently bought a whole bunch of models, like 3D printed models from STLs from not from GW to do with GW products, but other miniature design models that are literally designed for busts and all sorts of stuff, and literally
Yeah.
showcase models. There's one from Robo Miniatures, Robot. Something like that. They have a really cool little 1980s robot design on them, and it's
That's
this
pretty cool.
like cyberpunk samurai woman.
Oh, okay.
So she's like a cyborg, and then she's got
Mm.
like the whole kimono thing and the samurai sword, and it's got very like Japanese architecture behind it. Anyway, it's like a piece, right? It becomes like a
Yeah, yeah.
sculpture thing.
It's a whole display piece.
Exactly. And I really love those things. And, those are the things that give me inspiration to kind of, well, let's take that concept and try and extrapolate that and put that into models that are therefore used
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah.
It helps make games and everything else so much more feel like lived in. When you have like
Mm.
a really thought out board and then you just have these crazy customized models everywhere, and then it just adds to the whole atmosphere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I come across with really two main drives for myself to convert. One of which is the same thing. It's just that the customization and being able to have my own unique models on the table, whether or not they're special characters or if they're just models that I've made look different.
Mm.
Just that personalization, going, yeah, these are my dudes. These are whatever that is. And then the other thing that drives me as well is that I hate looking at an army or a board or a force and seeing the same model.
Yeah.
Um, like, yeah, I mean, you can sort of get away with it with like masked things like guard or poxwalkers and stuff like that. But even in like Necron warriors and stuff that I do, I keep track of like which bodies and stuff I use to which arms and make sure that I'm not doubling up on them
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
for
like that.
sure. Yeah.
Which is because like if I can look at a line of warriors and go, well, two of these are in the exact same pose. It's like, well, that looks awful.
Yeah.
It breaks immersion entirely. Why would that ever be a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it is trash.
Hmm.
And this is kind of like the argument against say monopose.
Yeah.
Or
Monopose. I mean, monopose models are usually nice models. They're usually monopose because they've got more detail on them than can be done on a posable model.
yeah.
But it means that I'm only ever going to use one of them without heavily converting another one.
Well, apparently there was a lot of
Yeah.
lot of contention with the orc kit, one of the orc kits.
Yeah, the new orc box, all of the boys in it
It's
are
the boys, right?
monopose.
Yeah, they're all
But
monopose.
also then their weapons options are fixed. It's like from memory, it's like 6 sluggers and choppers, and then 4 shooters, and then 1 knob. But those are the only options you've got.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to kit out a squad because you're going to want 10 of the same thing.
Yeah, well that's always they
But
force you to buy
also,
a double.
yeah. But also then they're also really obviously the same pose if you double them up.
Yeah.
And that's true of
Guard to be similar too,
uh,
right?
yes and no. Guard are more multi-part, are more posable than they are.
Right.
Because the guard, you've got the bodies are all the same for guard, but then there's your torso.
Yeah.
But you've got like five different leg sculpts, and then the arms just have flat panels that are attached to the sides of the body. So to a certain extent, yes, but there's enough variation in it that I'm never worried about being like, oh, my two guardsmen are the same. So they look similar because they're all wearing the same thing, but this guy's arms are up differently, and he's got a bayonet in his gun and he doesn't, and stuff like that just changes the silhouette just enough that it doesn't trick your eyes on it. But if you're looking at something like a Space Marine army, right? And let's say I wanted to run 3 lieutenants.
Shit out of luck there, mate.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's plenty of...
Actually, no, you're not shit out of luck, exactly, because there's so many of them.
But let's say I wanted 3 of them with the master crafted Stalker Bolt rifle.
Yeah, or like the Volkite dude or whatever.
Yeah. There's only been one model. Well, the Volkite dude's a bad example because there's another one now. But there's only one model for those.
The Stalker one, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's only one model. It's a cool model. I like it. I've got one that I've given a backbanner to because backbanners are cool. But that's it. Like if I go, I want another one of those, I've got to get some heavy converting work done. Or for whatever reason, 2 of my Space Marines in the field at the same moment in time have decided to start swinging their arms around.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, yeah.
I mean, look, don't get us wrong. I think this is a good thing. So when I hear people complaining about monopose and stuff, and I guess if you're a person who just wants to play, it may come as a bit annoying because you get as we were saying, you get that kind of samey kind of look and whatever. But then I go, if you're just there to play, you couldn't probably majority of the time you wouldn't care less anyway.
Right. I mean, look, I've definitely seen people play with, the Scutarii Marshal for whatever reason is a really obvious one. I've seen people play Scutarii and have 3 Marshals, and they're the identical model in the very distinct pose, and it's fine. Like, all right, whatever. Your models, you do what you like.
Of course.
And they're obviously more interested in playing than the modeling side of things. Great, go nuts. Like, it's, there's no onus on you to change your hobby because of the way I like my hobby.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I look at it and I go, right, well, especially in the Space Marine line, and like the reason why I got into Deathwatch first was purely from the ease of conversion.
Yeah.
Not only from a table point of view, just like you could justify it. So like, for example, like my chaplain with jump pack is the Blood Angels one. My Librarian Terminator is the Blood Angels one because the Blood Angels seem to have just the best sculpts of like their heroes. And then even with like Forge World stuff, like my it is Blood Angels again, but my company champion is the Praetor, the Blood Angels Praetor, the 30k one.
Nice.
With the wings and everything, and then he's just got like a Deathwatch shield on his left hand, right hand. I'm not sure. One of the hands.
Probably the left hand.
And that's just, I don't know. I look at that and like I even now when I don't even play Space Marines anymore, like at all. Even on the channel, I refuse to play Space Marines if it's not Grey Knights. And I look.
You say you're playing Grey Knights, Space Wolves, and Deathwatch.
Well, I don't consider them Space Marines. Okay, Deathwatch and Space Marines, yes, but Grey Knights aren't Space Marines. Grey Knights are Grey Knights. Anyway, I look at it and I go. I find myself now going through Games Workshop or Forge World and being, what cool characters can I build? Like, how can I kit bash this to be cooler? It's like the same thing with my my Deathwatch Terminators are Grey Knight Terminators.
Because they're just cooler.
Because they're so much cooler. But also, you can kind of go, and this is where I think, and this is just my opinion, I always like conversions that make sense.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, I go, well, if I was playing Ultramarines and I was using Grey Knight Terminators, that would look weird. I know. But I go, well, Deathwatch, Inquisition, Grey Knights, Inquisition, the same the Strike Marines have the Death Watch shoulder pad, for example. It just doesn't have
it's
the eye in the
believable.
middle. It just kind of it makes sense.
It's believable they'll have access to similar templates of gear.
Yeah, kind of. But
it's an easy stretch of the imagination to go, yeah, they can have Terminators that look similar.
All the lore fans out there are just like, no, guys, no, you're wrong. And look, we know we're wrong lorically, but in terms of it's a bigger leap to go, Grey Knights to Ultramarines than it is from Grey Knights to Death Watch. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And across the board, like you can, I started looking at some cool stuff now regarding Death Guard and the AOS stuff. Like with using the Blight King, whatever they're called.
The Putrid
Blight Kings, and converting them with Blight Lords to make Possessed.
That's cool.
And Possessed Terminators. Yeah. I mean, you still play them as Possessed and everything, but it just, that whole... And I don't know, I think it's just really satisfying. Look, it's expensive. It becomes expensive, not only from a time point, but money. When I look at it, I go, okay, well, I'm going to be buying a Blight Lord kit and a Blight... whatever, Blight King kit, and I'm only getting 5 models, so I'm
spending... And they're like, what, $80?
$200 for 5 models.
Yeah.
Don't tell my wife.
Well...
So,
I mean, that's an interesting point then, because at that point you're converting for a theme, right? Because you've got your idea of your Terminator-only Death Guard force.
Yeah.
And so you're converting, at that point, you're going, well, I want to make Terminator Possessed.
Yeah, I mean, look, people cool. Do it. Like, I think that's on the more extreme side of the scale, right? You see people that do that lean really heavily into the Greek aesthetic with Ultramarines, right?
I mean, you got to do something to make Ultramarines interesting.
I don't know, man. I know everyone hates on them, but I actually like Ultramarines. Not on the tabletop or anything, just lore-wise. I like them. I like Guilliman. I think it's cool. I respect them a lot more than most of the other chapters, to be honest.
Felix and Ventress, cool. I get that.
Felix is probably my favorite Space Marine.
Just avoid Sicarius everywhere except Fall of Demnos. He gets his shit kicked in Fall of Demnos, and it's hilarious. The whole book is him being Cato Sicarius.
Yeah, being a douche.
And then he just gets his shit kicked in. And then there's a Veil of Darkness, which is I believe an audio drama or something.
Yep.
Where he's basically just got PTSD from that. It's hilarious. Also genuinely quite good, but other than that, just avoid his character entirely.
Yeah, I think he can get away with avoiding his character because it's pretty lame. But on the other hand, Decimus Felix, I wish he had a model. And
he does. He's the Gravis Captain from Dark Imperium.
No, I know, but I mean actually get a model.
Right, do up a fancy one with
a proper one and give him rules and and maybe considering the storyline of Dark Imperium and stuff, when they do release an Ultramarine supplement, I wouldn't be surprised if they release a Felix model because he's quite a prominent player in the lore currently.
Yeah, they've already got Calgar, they've already got Tigerius,
so being a one of the Tetrarchs, he pretty much controls a fifth of Ultramar, so he's kind of important.
Vespator, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The what did they say before that? The something of Vespator. The
Tetrarch of Vespator.
No, it's not Tetrarch. It's something else, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I think it's just Tetrarch of Vespator. Or the Lord, or the whatever. Yeah.
Something.
Regent?
No, there's only one Regent.
No, Guilliman's the Lord Regent of the Imperium. Because you have Regents of other areas. Regent is a...
No, he's the Regent. He's the Lord Commander of the Imperium and the Imperial Regent. That's the title. Yes. And it's... it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
It's not Tetrarch. The Tetrarch is the title.
Tetrarch is the title, and he's something other.
It's something of Vespator. It's going to come up in 20 minutes' time, and I'm going to be like, bah!
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be talking about something entirely different, and then one of us will just be like, bam, it's this.
Yeah. But, I think, look, converting now is a lot. Coming back to the whole monopose.
Yeah.
And I think my experience with this is quite. I think this is why I can kind of lean on this opinion a little bit more. Comparing the way models were produced in third edition to compared to how they're produced now,
Yeah.
it was a lot easier to convert back then. What? Sorry, for plastic, right? You don't understand.
Yeah.
Back then, 50% of the model line was metal,
Yeah, they're real hard to work
which
with.
is nigh impossible to convert with. I mean, it's not, but it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
But for all the plastic stuff, and especially when they started transitioning, fourth edition is when they really started getting plastic characters.
Yeah.
And they started changing.
Well, resin characters.
No, and plastic.
They were still pushing Finecast through to 6th edition.
Yeah, but I remember Calgar and his Honor Guard had like a whole plastic kit in fourth edition.
Really? I'm convinced they were failcast.
Nah. No. Because they didn't have the failcast logo box because it was all released with the same codex. We literally just talked about this not on recording a while ago. We were talking about the fourth edition. We were talking about all the books. We were talking about all the artwork relating to all the books. Anyway, not important. Point being is that there are aspects of it that are easier and aspects that are harder. And I think nowadays more than ever, you kind of, to convert well, i.e. from, if it's not just kit bashing, if you have some kind of very specific thing, especially if it's something big, you have to have a somewhat basic level of green stuff ability. That's just my personal opinion on it.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Or not really?
Well, I have 0 green stuff ability.
Okay.
So, no, like I use green stuff to fill gaps occasionally.
Yeah.
That's about it. But I do look at it and go, that's something I need to improve on if I want to keep pushing a lot of my conversions. Because a lot of the stuff that I do tends to be just like adding bits or fiddling with stuff. The only time I've really gone like full ham on a conversion of my squats, where I've just gone, oh, I want to do an entirely converted army. But even then, there's not a lot of green stuff there. There's a lot of shaving of arms and shaving of shoulders. And then I use green stuff to fill gaps.
That's what I mean. So when I say green stuffing, I don't mean sculpting, right? There is a clear difference between, creating like an entire bicep of a Space Marine arm.
Right.
Because you want to change a pose or,
Yeah.
But like, maybe creating the behind the knee components, whatever that would be called. I imagine that's like a leather.
Right,
I know it's not a leather, but I imagine it's like a squidgy. I think of like a slinky.
It's like a ribbing of rubber or something.
Yeah, like some kind of monomolecular bloody whatever. I don't know what it is, but that like, filling those pieces, or, as you say, like the gap filling. Yeah. And obviously, if you're doing Chaos and if you're doing Xenos, it can be, especially Tyranids and stuff, it can be a lot easier. You can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of a must, and I think that's what maybe stops people from doing it, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they go, oh, I want to do this pose, but I have to cut this arm here. Oh, and then what am I going to do? Oh, I have to fill it with green stuff.
Yeah.
And to that, if that ever happens to you, or you're in a situation with it, you don't always have to use green stuff. There are other things that you can do, that you can use, that you will find at like, for those of you in Australia, from a Spotlight or a Lincraft, like.
Yep. So these are for everyone overseas. These are like fabric and what would you call like fabric and craft
like craft
stores,
like a craft store. So things like fake jewelry chain.
Yep.
Like so little jewelry kit chains is
perfect
for mini chains.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So the amount of times on some of my Deathwatch guys where I've literally reposed the arm to be straighter. Well, I've just wrapped a chain around their hand, like a very Black Templar style, right? So
Just to hide the wrist.
around the wrist, and then all the way back through to the elbow, as though the chain's wrapped right around them, or things like that, or like using parts of the scenery.
Yep.
You can build somewhat of a base, or using like pipe cleaners and other bits and pieces to create some kind of base, dioramery thing that comes up through the model and hides that part or whatever. So there are always other ways that you can avoid green stuffing if it's something that is really daunting. And also there is a lot of different green stuff products out there to make it easier.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it's so weird, after like a 15 or whatever 16-year hiatus, that you see that green stuff literally hasn't changed, as in Citadel's one.
It's the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing. You're like,
I reckon they've probably got like that same like one old machine in the corner that still makes it.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah. So I think there's a company called Green Stuff Modeler?
Green Stuff World.
Green Stuff World, that's it.
Yeah.
And they make like liquid green stuff. Which is more directed.
Citadel used to make liquid green stuff.
Yes, they did.
And they don't anymore.
Yeah, weird that.
Which is a pity.
And then this Green Stuff World also does stuff to like directed at more making cloaks and that have kind of like a directed use for them, I guess.
They make a bunch of really cool rollers and stuff for doing bases.
And like making hoses and all sorts of other bits and pieces. And also, like YouTube's your friend, right? All this stuff. Anyone, if you ever worried about, how do I do this? Just Google it. Just YouTube it. Like obviously, come to us, ask your friends or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, someone's done it on YouTube, and I think it's there's always something out there.
Yeah. For sure.
And keep your spares. Oh my god, all right. Coming back to where we started, right? And you were talking about the Death Guard sorcerer that I made.
Yeah. So if anyone's interested in seeing what this looks like, it'll be in the Instagram post for this podcast, and also is up on, I think, both Locky's and the Risky Rollers Instagram by now.
Yeah. So it's basically, I wasn't sure. So I got some claws. I wanted to use the finger lightning claws because the chaos ones are just the finger ones are so much cooler. The Freddy Krueger ones.
Oh yeah.
And then they're scaled for normal Space Marines. They're not scaled for Terminators. And then it's like Cataphracti as well. And then anyway,
it's bigger armor.
I pulled out my old Blight Lords box because I have a whole spare 5 Blight Lords, obviously, as I was talking about, because I want to make these possessed, right? So I was like, I'll just open both boxes. And I opened one of the other ones, and they have an extra body. So it's an extra, like, whole body, but obviously you're limited and you can't use it unless you've got all the weapon options, because then you just mix and match, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good kit in that way. And I was like, sick, I got a body. Mad. Quick, awesome, got the body. And then I glued the arms on, and obviously I had gaps to fill, and with Death Guard it's a lot easier. You can just make it look like, pussy growths and stuff. It's easy. Or easier. And then I was like, right, I need iconography. I need that, banner or that, like, whatever.
Something to make it stand out from just, look, Terminator with lightning claws.
Exactly. And so I was like, wow, what? I don't know, like you always say your bits box, and whatever. But I always have a structured bits box of like, this is the kind of arms for this or whatever that, and then I just have this kind of generic one. But then I remembered the whole bunch of Death Guard stuff you gave me.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, of course, that's where these.
They're the wings. Yeah. That's what the wings are from.
That's right. Yeah.
So I opened that box up. I'm like, I remember that because there was like this half converted noxious Blightbringer, and it had these wing. It's like you were trying to make a banner, right? It was like a
I converted a noxious Blightbringer to have a banner that had the bell on top.
Yeah,
underneath it was like the fly wings from the Plague Drone kit.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, snap those off. I'm like, bang, he's got wings. He's like a
Nice.
fly Terminator.
Yeah.
And I was like, so don't ever and then the heads. Oh yeah, man, the heads. So the head I ended up using was a head from a what kit was it? I can't remember. I think it's a Death Shroud kit, and it was the last head that I had on it. And I think so. Anyway, it was the last head on a sprue, and I was like, bang, I'm happy I kept that sprue. So, don't throw stuff away.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story.
Organize your bits. Don't let them pile up, but don't throw them away.
Yeah. I mean, even for basing, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can sell a dead Space Marine on a base without any part of the Space Marine but like their forearm and a hand.
Yeah.
You can just shave it off in a way, prop it up with some rocks.
Throw some blood effects around. You good?
Yeah. Some rocks underneath and then literally bury it in sand. And the other thing that like when people I've seen people ask before, like, oh, how'd you do that? How'd you do this? And sometimes a lot of the times people go, well, and I see this in comments when the answer will be exactly what it's depicting. So, like, how'd you get the effect of that with being buried? It's like, because I buried it.
Yeah.
It's literally buried in sand, or it's literally buried.
There's just sand all over it.
Exactly.
Like,
it's the easiest and most efficient way is to do it how it is supposed to be. And, we're not making video games here, so we don't have to lie on the back end. So, it's, you have that ease. I'm seeing this photo that you've sent me of the Calgar set with his honor guard. It's fine cast.
Yeah.
That was a fifth. I don't know if it was a 5th edition, but that was a post-release.
So there was a plastic Marneus Calgar in between.
Yes.
The metal one.
Because
and this.
I remember it was around the time when I stopped. So that Space Marines codex, the fourth edition one, with him holding Calgar holding the gauntlet.
So the model we're talking about is the Finecast Marneus Calgar with 4 honor guard.
Yeah.
One of which had the big banner.
Yeah.
And it's lifted straight from like the 4th edition codex artwork.
Yeah.
Where he's like standing amongst the.
And he's holding the gaunt head. High Fleet Behemoth.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Where he's sort of striding across the battlefield, like firing from both arms.
Yes. No, he's like standing in the middle of like surrounded by his honor guard, and then there's Tyranids everywhere.
No, that's a later one. This model was from like the 4th edition artwork, I believe it was. I'm not even sure if they were fighting Tyranids. I have the book somewhere. But it's just him, and this model's lifted straight from it, where he's just firing out of both arms. But I think this was the first one after the metal one.
Yes, it was. It was this, 100%. And this is why I remember it, because I was like, holy shizness, this model is cool, and it is.
It is. This is a fantastic Marneus Calgar model.
It is the best one they've done, I reckon.
I think it is better than the current one.
100%, I reckon.
Don't get me wrong, the current one is like I guess a technically better. It's crisper lines and stuff. But this model, the composition, the detail,
no.
it just looks better.
I'm right. 100% I'm right. He's standing in the middle, surrounded by dudes, that a dude with the banner is stabbing a gaunt, and he's holding a gaunt in his right hand. That is the 4th edition codex.
Okay. Well, then don't mind me. I don't know what I'm thinking about.
So this kit came out with that, and I remember, not remember having Citadel Finecast ever being on the box. Ever.
I don't know if they were. I mean, I don't know if they were ever pushing that like that early, as far as what they're pushing that as a thing.
You mean as an advertisement?
These are resin models, exactly.
Right. Okay.
But this model kit was resin.
Right.
It was one of the earlier ones they did in resin because they were coming out of metal.
Yeah. Because like we spoke about it before, the fact that they just use the same mold.
The same molds, yeah. So like most of the
that's not going to go wrong.
Models were they didn't want to keep using metal in the molds because it was expensive, and half of it was lead and toxic. Although I think they fixed that pretty early into it. So they just started pouring resin into metal molds. And that's where about half the Finecast models come from.
So I imagine, was that just because they were going through financial hard times, like, and that's just what they had to do, kind of thing?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting this to come up, so I don't
No,
actually know the
no.
answer to that.
I mean, like I said, this is just a whatever. You know, we're just chatting.
I believe it was partly that resin. They were trying to like push resin as a better material, but then I think also part of it was that it was cheap. I don't know if it was because of financial hard times or just the general. If we can make the cost cheaper,
well, because I mean, they did have like an all-time low, right? Around,
I think
was
that
it
was
fifth, sixth?
Yeah, but resin had been around for a while before that.
Right. Okay.
Because again, we've just established this was 4th edition when this model came out, and this was definitely resin. Yeah. So, yeah, it would have been after that they had their financial low point. But
yeah, weird. So yeah, I mean, I can't remember what we were on about, but the other thing.
I'll tell you what, we'll let Tim.
Oh yeah.
Say a couple of words about Dice Arcade, and then we'll jump right back into it.
DiceArcade.com.au. All the biggest brands of miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
All right, thanks, Tim. The other point I'll jump back onto very quickly. You mentioned that it took a lot of monopose models these days.
Yes. Sorry, I thought you were going with a question there. That was a really long delay.
I was gathering my thoughts. I was pausing for dramatic effect.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say something or not.
So models used to be metal, and they used to be very hard to convert.
Yes.
But also at the time, you kind of needed to convert a lot of stuff just to get options and stuff for the game. They would make kits. I mean, the old Space Marine kit, every single Marine's bolter used to be separate from the hands. It used to come with a molded, ungripped stock. Not stock, ungripped grip. And you had to physically take the bit that was the bolter, cut out the...
Cut the handle off.
Cut the handle off, and then glue it to the hands with the molded handle in them.
It was hilarious. That was all 3rd edition, and I loved it. It was so cool.
And also back then they they used to make kits that you just couldn't get the bits for them. They used to make kits that had rules, and they said, "Oh, just convert them.
Yeah.
If you want this model with this thing, you've got to find that bit and convert it yourself."
That was kind of the it was the philosophy, right? It was the
the idea of the models being your dudes was much stronger back then.
Yeah.
Now that happened, then they went through a period where they made a bunch of multi-part plastic kits, and they're all posable as they could make them with what they had at the time. The last 2 or 3 Space Marine kits are the epitome of this, where you've got the leg pieces, the torso pieces, and then separate arms. And we sort of look at them and go, "Oh, it was great because they were so posable." And it's sort of like, yes, they were, but there's also only so many different things you can do with Space Marine with wide legs and bolter.
Yeah.
And now they're getting to the point where they're making a lot of monopose models. And while I understand that if you're someone who wants to have a unique looking force, but you don't really have the time or want to put the time into converting and doing all that to a greater extent, yes, this is a problem, and I understand why you wouldn't be too happy about it. But the monopose models are nicer models. They look better, and they've got so much more detail on them.
Well, of course. I mean, they can do it now, right?
Well, that's the thing. And I'm not saying they couldn't do that with posable models. And I think that would be better again. But having the monopose models that are just great models to look at, yeah, sure, maybe it's a bit more work, a bit more effort now to convert unique looking ones. But I still think it's worth it, and I think it's a good thing to have models that are that much better quality.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even now, I think it's actually, after everything you've just said, I think it's more valued, or it's
more rewarding.
More rewarding now.
You're working with better models to start with. It takes a bit. You put a bit more effort and stuff into it. and then you get better models as a result.
One of the sickest things that exists now, well, it did as well, but it was harder to get hands on it, is now you have so much detail bits. So, for example,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I've used on my Deathwatch Redemptor. We're coming back to Deathwatch because literally the entire army is designed to be a fully converted army, right?
Yeah.
Well, up until recently. The Dreadnought has a book on its shoulder, and the book was taken from a Dark Angels upgrade sprue, which you can only get online. As a special, not a special order, but like one of those. It's one of the ones, right? Like it's only from their online
It's
part.
a web store only.
Web store only. That's what I meant. And you couldn't get that stuff back in the day. You know, like there are other ways, especially with things like bit stores now. You know, people argue that you pay a premium, but if you're only buying two things, you're actually not. Because instead of having,
if you're paying $2.50 per shoulder pad for Marine shoulder pad, but you're only buying 3 shoulder pads, well, that's cheaper than buying 3 boxes of tactical Marines for that 1 shoulder pad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously it doesn't work in every circumstance, but
of course,
you know, I think now having the option. So, my point is that yes, it's more difficult, but at the same time, it is more rewarding. And then on top of that, you actually have more access to stuff to be able to do the conversions you want to do. You know, like we've spoken about this before, not on a podcast, but the Luca Vi. What's the vampire?
Oh, the Lorcavai, the vampire model that's half like massive bat monster and half vampire centaur thing.
Luca Vi. I saw that and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I looked at it and I go, oh, I'm gonna put the legs of Scriveled, the Slaneshi dude, on her body.
Oh, Sigvold. Yeah. The champion of Slanesh.
Yeah. And then get like the zombie dragon kit and put the alternate head on top of that and turn it into a different zombie dragon, right? So then you're kind of going, okay, I'm buying 2 kits, but I'm also getting 2 models now.
Yeah.
You know, so kit bashing in and itself like that, I find it so fun, and it becomes like a whole new, I guess, like task in and of itself. Like it's just, yeah. I think it's great, and like we're not even going to get even started on the AOS range is just.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Baller. I wish 40k had the AOS treatment regarding model design because it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it really is.
And like, you know, I guess there's the other question about, you know, magnets.
Yeah.
Do you magnetize?
No. Not for any particular reason. I just don't have a lot of things that would benefit from being magnetized. Necrons are pretty one option.
Yeah, okay. And this is the thing, like I feel like realistically, unless it's Space Marines and a few other outliers, I don't really.
Eldar can probably use it with their vehicles.
That's what I mean. So that's what I would call an outlier. So I would also say, like, you know, Tyranid Warriors, for example, because you literally have like 10 options per model. Like Carnifexes and stuff. Overall, it's just like I don't think you need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be leading into it heavily with some Horus Heresy stuff. But again, Space Marines.
Again, yeah, that's what I mean. And then the only other thing I think it is good for those of you that play big models and paint, like because of I got some experience of that with my Tyranids and that. It's you just do it for transport.
Yeah, you want to be able to disassemble your models
Yeah.
part way so you can put it.
So like my Daimakaran is completely magnetized. Like the chest comes out, the head, the body comes away from the legs, and then the arms, all arms come off. And that's just purely because when I was looking at the model, going, yeah, how am I going to transport this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I sidestepped that entire problem with the Dark Eldar because I had the same thing. I'm like, these are never going to go in and out of a box constantly without getting damaged. So I just went, well, they live at the studio now.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just not. I'm not even going to make them. They live there. That's it.
Yeah. So now it looks like they're mine.
Yep. But yeah, magnet-wise, not something I've got a lot of experience with. I've occasionally done it here or there. My Dark Eldar Archon conversion, the Master Archon, he's magnetized to his base, which is something I'm going to do a bit more often now. But that's just so I can change what he's standing on. I can put him on the bridge of a Tantalus and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And that forms a bit of functionality. I mean, look, I've got a fair bit of experience with, like, most of my Deathwatch is magnetized. And, you know, one of the biggest things that helped me was buying a 8-volt drill.
A little Dremel.
Little hand. No, not a Dremel, like a little like a little Ryobi hand drill. Or a Black & Decker little 4-volt hand. Is it 4-volt? Or is it 8-volt? 4-volt. Little 4-volt drill.
Okay, yeah.
So you can get from Bunnings or like whatever you like, home, like your hardware stores, and they're, you know, lithium-ion batteries. So it's just plug in with like a DC thingo, but you can get, and the drill bits that sit into it are just the hex head bit. Yeah. You can get a 1 mil or 0.5, you know, but realistically, if you're magnetizing Space Marines using a 4 mil magnet, right?
Yeah.
You just buy a 4 mil drill bit.
Yeah.
And then rather than trying to sit with a what's it called, a pin vise, whatever, stupidest thing.
A pin vise is fantastic.
Push and
Drill
turn.
Barrels, man.
Bro.
Drill barrels.
We invented power and batteries and machines for a reason.
Do you have any idea how easy it is to run straight through a bolt gun with a?
No. For
pin
stuff.
Vise,
Oh yeah,
pin
for
vise.
Stuff like that. I mean, for drilling magnets and like other bits.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because
no.
I even use it for like.
Don't do that shit by hand. Good boy.
Yeah, no, it's retarded. But I even use the drill sometimes if I want to score certain things or if I want to cut things away. Instead of using the tip of the drill, use the side of the drill, and because it's plastic, right? You just hold the trigger down and just slowly push it. It'll just eat it.
You're essentially using it like a file at that point.
Yeah, or even like a lathe.
Yeah.
In that way, and it's super handy. Obviously, be careful of your hands, and you know, don't stab yourself. Whatever.
Don't eat the drill, etc.
Yeah, don't put it in your mouth and pull the trigger because you know it'll hurt. It feels annoying. We have to actually say these kinds of things, but hey, people do it. But yeah, that helps so much. So much. And then one of the ways that I found the easiest way, and I don't know if everyone's done this with gluing magnets in, because I've heard listened to a lot of other podcasts and other people talk about how annoying it is to get the magnets in or whatever. So what I do is I'll get 2 magnets and put them right together. So it's just the one side that's going to go into the body and one that's going to go into the hand, right? And I connect it to scalpel. Right? Yep. So you have 2 magnets on the scalpel.
And one on each side of the scalpel blade?
No. So the 2 magnets are connected and they're just on one side of the blade.
Yep.
Right? And then you drop a little bit of super glue into the hole. And then you use the side of the blade to push the first magnet in. And you hold it there for a bit. And then all you need to do is literally from that point, turn your knife upright and then slide it across.
Yep.
And that's it. It's done.
I'll do something similar. I put a magnet on each side of the scalpel blade, so the magnets are going to be in the same orientation, and I can put the super glue into one hole, put one magnet in, slide the blade off.
Oh, and then you slide the blade out. That's awesome. That's even better.
I know that the magnet on the other side of the blade is in the correct orientation to go into the opposite piece of whatever that magnet is.
Use that tutorial. That's way better than my one. I mean, it's fundamentally the same thing, but yours one step further. That's way better. Yeah. I'm totally going to do that now.
And then you can put your scalpel blade next to any magnet, pop a magnet again against the other side of it, and you have the correct orientation.
Yeah, because it'll just snap how it wants to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
it removes the whole. Some people like try and take a permanent marker and mark the sides of each of their magnets. So it's like, no, just keep them together, scalpel blade them.
Oh, half of mine don't fully. Like you can't. They're not. It's not entirely modular. Half of my Death Watch is modular. The other half isn't because it's like, whoop, no, polarity's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it's. I guess it comes down to money. Look, it's cheaper, especially if you're a competitive player and stuff. It is a lot cheaper to magnetize, and people complain about. I don't think it's that time consuming.
It's not really.
It's that hectic. And then if anything, the thing it does really help, especially if you get good proper magnets, it helps with sub assemblies anyway. Pretty much, I will if any model I have or am going to paint that has its arms over its body or crossed across its body, I will sub-assembly. Doesn't matter if it's a rank and file soldier or if it's some character model. I hate having to try and get in and around corners. Not that I can't, but it's like, why make life hard for yourself if you don't have to? Yeah. And sub-assemblies can be something that's a little bit daunting, but when you start getting used to it, you can just...
Once you figure out a system for whatever kind of model you're doing, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, and then you feel so much more satisfied because you know that you're like, oh, that one spot is like, oh yeah, it's sick, it's nice and clean, or I don't have this like.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, all the pro painters are all painting sub assemblies. No one's painting like arms crossing over themselves and everything. But again, obviously, it's got to fit what it is that you want to do. Obviously.
Yeah.
If you don't care, don't care, then it doesn't matter.
My biggest reason for wanting to magnetize, and I'm looking at my next project is after the Grey Knights and stuff, is a couple of Thousand Suns Contemptors, and I'm just going to magnetize their weapons options. I don't think it's because I particularly want them to be competitive or anything, or particularly don't have a I'll be happy enough to purchase more Contemptors. I just want to put the time into painting more of them.
Yeah.
Once I've painted them, that's it. They're done.
100%.
I'll paint an extra weapon here or there.
Painting a gun is a lot better. Like, oh, sick, I just have to paint a gun. Awesome, dope. And then that's the thing too, right? Because then you go, I want to try this new weapon system out or whatever. And you're like, well, all I have to do is paint a gun, or I paint an arm, or I paint a thing. Like, great, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's good. So yeah, I mean, look, that was just little bits and pieces of things that I reckon that are.
But look,
convert your models.
Conversions are great.
They're the best.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's an army I've done that doesn't have or isn't built around conversions in it.
That's yours, because I was going to say we have a few armies that we are not built around.
Oh yeah. I mean, sorry, I don't think I've ever done an army for myself.
Yeah.
That hasn't been built around a theme that therefore has a lot of conversions in it. Even my Primera Space Marines, it's a simple one, but all the sergeants have back banners and things.
Which is the old school throwback, which is great.
Yeah, it's super simple, but I look at that and go, those are my Space Marines.
Yeah.
Those are my models.
Yeah. I think I've always wanted to do, I really do love the Greek Ultramarines thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before, a Minotaur's army.
Yeah.
Epic. So cool. It's like what Jack's doing with his one of the guys from the Discord is doing it's like a combination of I'm probably going to butcher this. He's probably going to be like, that's not exactly what they are at all. But it's like custom World Eaters, but it's as though World Eaters and Iron Warriors are mixed.
Oh yeah.
So he's had all these custom axes done, and his personalized iconography and all this crazy shit, and the whole army is just this no one ever has that. That's in the entirely his design and everything. I just think that's just so cool. It takes the dedication. Makes me wonder how I could convert Custodes though. Like how do you add a treatment to certain armies?
It's a good question, actually. Yeah. What would you do with Custodes? I mean, you can repose them and stuff, but
Sisters are the same. I think Sisters and Custodes are like these two armies that are kind of sit on the fringe. Excuse me. Of they're too ornate, and they're too separate from everything else that is.
Yeah.
You can't. Custodes more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, Sisters, I could see like you can thematically get off a bit of a tangent here, but yeah, thematically you could like lean heavy down the Ministorum route. You could mix in a bunch of the old Warhammer Fantasy Empire like flagellants and stuff like that. And just go heavily down that sort of route. Cover them in like scripture and purity seals and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how you do it. That's how you do that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was looking for my Sisters, I was looking for AOS stuff. But there's nothing really AOS-y compared to, say, like old Empire, right? Like that's what you're talking about, yeah?
Yeah, the old Warhammer Empire. I mean, those models still exist as part of the Age of Sigmar range.
Do they?
Yeah, they come under like Free Cities or something. Cities of Sigmar.
Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah, all the old Empire models.
Oh yeah, wow, they totally do. Well, so they full sell the whole range. Oh, why is there like a
Dark not the whole range. Yeah, yeah. So no, it's weird. So Dark Elves are apparently good guys now.
What?
And they're part of like the good guy alliance in Sigmar.
Okay, that's super strange.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, it's just the way they've done up the alliances.
Can you still get cold ones?
You can still get both the good Dark Elf cold ones and the derpy as balls Lizardman cold ones.
No, I mean
they're both still kits.
The good ones.
Yeah, the Dark Elf cold one riders. They got chariots and stuff too.
How do they still have? So okay, this is super tangenting, but
they don't have Tomb Kings though.
Why do they continue these models, but then discontinue 40k models that are good and put them in Legends? I don't understand.
I mean, you're asking the big questions here.
It's very strange.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
Why would you keep them and just squat the entire Tomb Kings range? I'm still salty, man.
Yeah, bro, I am with you, man. I loved them. Although this Sorceress on Black Dragon. Okay, so that's what's happening. This Sorceress on Black Dragon, that dragon head is going on and gonna be the dragon from my look by check thing, whatever. That's what's happening
on Look of Eye.
Yeah,
that's a classic. It's a classic dragon kit too, because that kit you're talking about, the Sorceress on Black Dragon, that's like a 3 or 4 in 1 kit.
Is
which
it
that classic like thin fantasy like St. George and the Dragon style dragon? It's real cool.
It's so cool.
It's a great kit. Yeah.
What's his name? Sigvold. Sig.
The model that Lucius wishes he was.
Yeah, well, look, as long as Fulgrim gets a sick model, I don't really care.
Yeah. I've seen some really sick Fulgrim from Marathi conversions.
I just don't understand. Why does he have the chaps? What's with his armor being chapped?
Slanesh, man.
But
you're asking too many questions.
Come on, like you can do it so much more tastefully. Like I feel like it's such a with his.
I've seen people paint it. I've seen people paint it and just be like, "Oh, it's not chapped. It's just like a recess in the armor, and it looks fine."
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd probably for this in this situation, 100% I'd be doing that.
You just paint it like it's armor, or you just shave the lip of it off.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well,
this might wrap this podcast up because it's given me a hankering to go and and do some converting.
Yeah, now I just want to buy AOS models.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, oh, I want to get back to building some of my squat bikes.
Yeah.
But so thank you for coming on the podcast, Locky.
Thank you for having me. I mean, I'm always here, so
you're always here. Yeah. I feel like I've got to say something there to try and push towards wrapping up.
It's all right. It's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. Make sure to check out Dice Arcade, our Patreon, and the Discord.
Yes, come hang out. Show us your conversions. I want to see them all.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, jump in there, share some images. Everything from head swaps and reposes through to like crazy, super sculpted 3D prints, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, the crazier the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.